I'm Graham Bignell.
I'm Richard Ardagh.
We're both at New North Press, London, and we're going to talk for a little while about our year of COVID isolation. At the beginning of lockdown, which was for me back in March 2020, I'd already started production on a poetry book. So in a way, the first 3 months of lockdown was rather enjoyable for me, because I was able to sort of dedicate a whole period of time printing this 36-page poetry book by a poet called John Anstis. John contacted me as a local gay poet, and he had a history of work as an editor and printer, and he wanted to produce a book using Letterpress. So it was a great opportunity to actually work with someone that was, dedicated to his craft. I mean, he's 80 years old. He started writing poetry at 50. So, but he's a performance poet. So over that period, we had lots of meetings. He's a great fun guy to be around. And we produced this book. It's a softbound binding, hand-stitched here by Irene Richardson and Clara Vith, who is one of our assistants here. So it's an open back binding, and then the poetry is set in Centaur and printed on circle paper. The whole production is now available from the New North Press website. So that was the beginning of lockdown. But while that was going on, we were also planning reverting to type.
We'd had an exhibition 10 years ago in 2010 where we'd contacted Letterpress studios from around the world to have an exhibition. Standpoint Studios, the building we're in, has a gallery on the ground floor as you come in, and we'd used that space then and always been asked whether we would do another exhibition, and we'd finally kind of got our act together and some momentum with the idea of making it a themed show, and the exhibition was meant to take place in July of 2020, but because of everything going on, we took a call earlier in the year to postpone it. It may have been the case that having it in July would have allowed more people to access it, but we had no idea at the time. And in fact, by delaying it to November to open, we had more time to think about it, to publicise it, to get the word out about it, and crucially had an Arts Council grant accepted, which really gave us the funding and the security to make things to go with it, which really filled out the exhibition to make it the best it could be. Primarily and most usefully, that was a website or a digital platform version of the exhibition, so that all of the posters, which was over 200 images in the end, were all on the website, still are on the website, revertingtotype.com, with the descriptions, the press names, the titles, even classed by categories. So it's a very useful and far longer lasting device than the physical exhibition that we put up downstairs. We were also able to do a catalogue and produce videos to promote it, all of which counted for a lot when only a small handful of people in the end were able to see the exhibition in person. But the theme of the exhibition was protest posters, And that was a topic that we'd chosen at the end of 2019, really off the back of Brexit and sort of global politics and general feeling.
Everybody.
Yeah. Little did we know what would come in 2020 with Black Lives Matter, and really the way that the lockdowns across the world made everyone have to stop and take a step back and think about the way they were living their life, and the impact that humans in general are having on the world. So we had lots of posters about the global climate crisis. There's all sorts of things. I wish I could talk about them all. I'm just going to show you. This is the poster which forms one part of the catalogue. As you can see, every poster is on here roughly proportionately to scale. There's a huge array of work by over 100 talented artists. We also invited people to come and collaborate here with us, which some people were able to do in person, some people did remotely, but we produced an alphabet, that is to say 26 collaborative posters, because we wanted to be able to invite different voices to be part of the show, to make it diverse and to make sure that we were really reflecting things that were going on. But we had contributions from artists in 17 different countries on this wide range of themes, and it was great to have an exhibition which was a letterpress show, but it wasn't solely about the technique, it was about the message behind the work. And the topic of protest was almost the banner under which letterpress was being accepted as art, and really bringing people together in a way that personally we didn't feel letterpress had been before. You know, different types of work, different styles and techniques, all being viewed together as a very full and exciting looking exhibition. The other part of the catalogue is a booklet. This is something that I worked on with Carl Middleton, and we wanted to take a snapshot of letterpress in 2020, looking towards making it semi-academic in that we commissioned essays from several different people about different topics, so education being one of them, also connections, that is how social media and the internet have joined people together. Also we had a few short interviews with people whose work were in the exhibition, specifically sort of activist printers, and then a final piece about the prospects for letterpress in the future. So hopefully quite a useful and interesting read for anyone interested in letterpress or studying, writing dissertations and that sort of thing, and useful looking back in the future, we hope.
While that was going on, I mean, that was a huge amount of work in the gallery, hanging nearly 200 posters, managing that. Although the gallery was only open for a couple of weeks, both Richard and I were busy doing interviews and managing that side of things, but we also had plans to bring another press into what was a very, very cramped studio in the first place. So, yeah, Richard decided, quite rightly, to modernise a little bit, and he has bought a Coronet press. Do you want to say anything about that, the Coronet?
Well, the Corex came from Holland, and this was in the lead up to leaving the European Union, so it's quite a nerve-wracking time to be bringing anything over from Europe. There were various possibilities and delays that I won't bore you with, but in the end we managed to receive the press as the exhibition opened, during December, before the Brexit date of the end of the year, and bring it through the gallery with all of the work on the walls, up through into the old cargo lift, quite temperamental cargo lift, upstairs to the first floor, having to move a huge amount of plan chests and other things on the other side of the studio, and also do quite a lot of moving on this side of the studio to fit it in.
I mean, in the end, we had to move probably 40 cabinets, and I worked out a plan.
This is our very organised moving diagram of you move one thing, but you have to move something else to be able to put it somewhere. This might give you an insight into how our brains were working at the time, but it was successful in that the press is here and has been running very well.
And actually, the studio is sort of functioning a bit better, I think. There's dedicated spaces for the Corets with a drying rack nearby. The Albion has its own space, and the Colombian has its own space. The only thing is we've got floor-to-ceiling type all around the studio.
Towers of type.
Towers of type. But generally, it's a fantastic sort of improvement to the running of the studio, and I think actually for production of work as well. So.
Well, we'd begun printing belly bands to hold the exhibition, the map and the catalogue I showed you earlier, and these belly bands hold them together. And printing these on a hand press was fine, but actually having the Corex to then run the remaining 700 odd on really was a great way of me learning the ropes and putting it to use. So that was great, and I've printed a commission and lots of promotional material on it since, so it's certainly earning its keep here, and I think will be very useful as we move forward as well. But you know, with lockdown and moving heavy material in general, I suppose it gave us the confidence that actually it might seem very daunting, but the upheaval can sometimes be a good thing, give you a chance to reassess and rework things in a way that can be productive and useful moving forward.
Yeah. So I suppose in a way we're still in partial lockdown. We are just about to start our Letterpress classes with limited numbers, and you know, hopefully, well, I don't know when COVID's going to get any better. Hopefully in the future we'll be able to have full capacity again. We haven't done any teaching or anything like that for nearly a year. So yeah, we're looking forward to a better future, definitely.